Hey friends! Alright, so today I'm really excited to be doing a resolution interview for you all. So Resolution Interviews contacted me with some questions that they crowdsourced and came up with themselves. I'm super excited to answer them here today. It will also be on their channel. And without further ado, here's some questions that y'all wanted to know or that they were curious about. First and foremost, as many of you all know, my name is Skylar Kergil. I go by the pseudonym of skylarkeleven on YouTube. And yeah, I'm a 25-year-old transgender vlogger, singer-songwriter, musician, activist, poet, blah, blah, blah. 1. Briefly describe your journey of coming out. So I began questioning my gender around 14 or 15 years old, but I didn't have the words to really describe how I was feeling until I discovered the word transgender later into 15 years of my life. And so basically I'd felt like a boy on the inside for a long time, but I didn't think it was physically, socially, emotionally, I just didn't think it was possible. I figured a lot of other people probably felt like me, but they're stuck in their bodies and they just live that way. So finding out that transgender existed, exploring that, and figuring out that that did describe a lot of the feelings I was having, I came out fully around the time I was 16 after a couple months in gender therapy. So I told my friends I was questioning my gender at first, and I told my family that, and about 4 or 5 months into that, I came out fully as a transgender man to all of them. So I was 16. And then I was 17 and a half when I started physically transitioning, but I've still continued to discover so much about myself since then, so I wanted to make sure I said that. 2. Can you explain pronouns and why they're important to you and others in the transgender community? Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sky, and if you didn't know what pronouns I had, you'd be like, Sky went to the supermarket where Sky bought some chocolate milk because Sky loves chocolate milk. And you know that just sounds ridiculous to say my name a million times. So it's important to know what someone's pronoun is so that you can reference them by that rather than just their name over and over again. Although some people might just want to go by their name over and over again, and that's completely fine too. It's important because, like your name, it's a part of your identity. So if someone were to call me she, just assuming, hey, like Sky looks like she probably uses she pronouns, I would feel like, no, I use he pronouns. But it's really hard to speak up sometimes when someone's already using the wrong pronoun. So what I always recommend is to ask someone, like when you're finding out someone's name, that's a great time to also find out what pronoun to refer to them as. So like I just met Bob the other day, and thank goodness I asked Bob what his pronouns are because they're he and him. Otherwise I'd be like, I met Bob and Bob's so cool, Bob drives a truck, Bob is so neat, Bob's so nice. And y'all would be like, can you just use a pronoun, please? So it's extremely important, it's a part of our identity, it's a validating experience, and yes, it's like a name. So you ask someone's name, you should also ask for their pronouns. And sometimes it's good to ask for an update on pronouns in case you're like, hang on, maybe I never asked. When did I officially switch my pronouns assigned at birth to he and him? I think that I started pretty much enforcing that when I fully came out as a transgender man, so when I was 16, my junior year of high school. 4. Did you ever explore any other gender identities? Well, yeah, absolutely. So I definitely explored the identity of trying to be a woman. I really tried to express myself femininely, and I tried to have a girl gender expression when I was a bit younger, but it made me feel so uncomfortable and so awkward, and that's something that sort of informed my gender identity in a lot of ways. Simultaneously, I have thought about the fact that I do perhaps identify somewhere off of the binary spectrum. However, I've created this space being a man where I'm okay with my femininity and I'm okay with he and him pronouns. Nothing's ever gonna fully sum me up via just my gender. So I've explored some ideas, but overall, in the end, I identify as a person of trans-masculine experience and as a transgender man. 5. Did you ever struggle with self-esteem or bullying, and how did you overcome it? So absolutely, I had people that were like, you can't know that you're a boy, and it made me doubt myself. It made me go from confident and excited to feeling like I was so wrong, and like there was something wrong with me, and that I couldn't know, and that I couldn't be who I was, and that just was very, very tough for my self-esteem. At the same time, having a couple bullying-like experiences, being told I could never be a boy, that I was ugly as a girl, and I'd be ugly as a boy, and just all sorts of things like that. And so what I did in order to overcome it, and it wasn't easy, I had many, many nights where I was just crying, or I was upset, or I was angry, and that still happens, of course, but The best way for me to overcome it is actually I've been to therapy several times, which really helps me, as well as doing things that make me feel good about myself and surrounding myself with people who love and respect me and who I love and respect in return. So just removing myself from these horrible situations as best as I can, and simply when I was in high school, I would go out for runs or bike rides or skateboarding and just be alone and just get fresh air, just breathe it in and be on my own and be like, look, when I'm alone, I'm happy and I'm safe and I'm comfortable, and just to remind myself of that. So that's how I dealt. The other thing too is that really reaching out to others is so important for me in order to overcome these issues, and it's hard though in that moment to reach out. So it's still difficult for me. I still need help sometimes, but I try my best to reach out to those people that I love and that love me. 6, what body positive advice would you offer people who are pre-medical transition? Well, I would definitely say that transitioning medically does not change everything about your body or your identity. Some things will stay the same, like my nose stayed pointy, and it was something that I didn't really like. But I knew testosterone wasn't gonna change it, and so while I was waiting for about like a year and a half, 2 years to start testosterone, I thought to myself, well, I'm gonna try and learn to love and accept the things about myself that aren't gonna change through my transition, or the things that I don't wanna change that still make me uncomfortable. So I knew I didn't wanna have bottom surgery, and I thought to myself, mentally, I can start working on accepting my body as how it is. I can start making the definition of man wider so I will fit into it regardless of what others will say. And I also started working out a little bit. That helped me kind of move my body fat around, which lessened a lot of my dysphoria. So I would say establishing healthy habits, because once you start transitioning, your habits will come with you. So if there are things that you're thinking about now, like, oh, I really wish I didn't smoke cigarettes, or I really need to cut back on my drinking, or I wish that I could run a 5K, start now. Feel productive. Feel good about yourself. Make those changes that transitioning isn't gonna affect. 7, what has your experience been like as a transgender role model on YouTube? Well, it's been absolutely lovely. Seriously, all of the support that I get from the YouTube community and all of the support and advice that I can give, it's been this very lovely experience that I wouldn't change for anything. It was a surprise. I didn't intend to become an activist or a role model. It was definitely slow and steady and kind of accidental, but I'm very thankful for it, because a lot of times one of my safest spaces has been my YouTube community. So knowing that other trans people can come and they can watch all my videos from the past like 8 years and be able to gain some inspiration or some sense of hope from that, it means so much to me. Like, I will always keep my videos up and free for as long as I possibly can in this world, and it's just so important to me that people know that they're not alone. So it feels incredible to hear from people that sometimes just accidentally stumbling upon my video is what showed them that they were no longer alone, and it's super duper meaningful for me. It's hard to put into words. 8, how has your transition inspired your music and vice versa? Well, I really started writing a lot of songs once I started figuring out my gender identity and coming out. It was a good outlet for me to kind of release a lot of the anger and pain that I'd been holding on to. And simultaneously, my music has impacted my transition, because I think it's been one of the creative things that hasn't fluctuated too much throughout my transition. It's always been a resource for me to go to, like ever since I was 14. And so my transition inspires a lot of the lyrics in my music, and my music gives me that relaxing calmness that I need sometimes when I get caught up in the whirlwind of identity and life. My biggest inspiration for my lyrics really is what's going on in my life. So Tell Me a Story was very autobiographical in a lot of ways, very detailed in the description of real life events that I was dealing with and going through. Now I'm getting a little bit more ambiguous in my music, and I think that's just because my life has gotten a little bit more ambiguous, and I like that. It's really whatever's going on. 10, what made you decide to have one channel for documenting your transition in music instead of switching and having 2 channels? I guess it's just easier, honestly. I didn't really think too much about it, and truthfully, I accidentally started uploading my videos, just continued them on, and really, I thought about this in the sense that I don't really consider my life as like a pre-transition and a post-transition life. I consider it kind of just this one linear timeline that I've lived, and my music is a part of that too. So it's not like there's trans Sky life and there's music Sky life. It's one and the same for me, and I guess that's why also on my channel you'll see videos of my cat and many other things. It's just my life. 11, who are your musical inspirations and who are your transition inspirations? So some of my biggest musical inspirations are Jack Johnson for his positivity and just, oh God, it's just amazing, seriously. In Between Dreams is my favorite album ever. I also love Elliott Smith, who really inspired a bunch of my older music and current music now. And then as well as Conor Oberst, Bright Eyes has been a big inspiration with sort of like the lyrical, autobiographical stuff. And then Amy Winehouse, honestly, is someone that I've started listening to much more recently, and I love the way that she plays with style. So yeah, those are my biggest inspirations right now. As for transition inspirations, I'm just gonna list 2 for you because I could just go off on a giant list of them, but I think the 2 most powerful people that inspire me that are trans right now are Janet Mock and Tika Milan. Go look up those 2 people and you'll find many more, but those 2 right now. 12, where do you see yourself in your channel in 5 years? So I don't want to break any hearts or be too vague about this by saying this, but I honestly don't know that I'll be updating as frequently in 5 years as I am now. I might have another project going on that might be on another channel that's like something more contained that I want to do. But as for my just random vlogs and just sort of like little things and transition updates every here and there, I see myself probably holding a job in physical life that doesn't involve being on the internet as much. I love the internet, it's been an amazing outlet for me, but as I've grown and changed, and YouTube has grown and changed, it's different, and it might not necessarily be for me. I'm much more of a writer, I'm much more of a interacting hands-on, day-to-day in-person kind of guy, so it really depends. A lot's coming up in the next 5 years, so I guess the most important thing though that I should say is I see myself on a farm with some land, feeling really happy, painting, writing, and helping others. Yeah. 13, what would you be doing if you didn't have a YouTube? Okay, I just kind of answered that. So I still am doing things other than YouTube. I do a lot of other things other than my YouTube channel, and a lot of those things are actually higher on my priority list now and are meaningful to me and are passions that I have and that have grown over time. And so like I said, I'd love to have a little bit of a farm, I would love to work with youth, and I would definitely love to be a little bit settled down. Alright, this is a long question, so I'm just gonna read it off my papers here. 14, recently you shared that you have a memoir in the works. How does that make you feel that you are sharing your life on more than just one platform? What can we expect to learn from your book that we haven't already learned from your YouTube channel? So you're gonna learn a lot from my memoir that you definitely haven't learned from my YouTube channel. I don't talk that much about my past on my YouTube channel. It was mostly like the present. So you saw me from 17 and a half on, and even then I had to be pretty anonymous about some things. I couldn't share other people's stories. I didn't want to put out too much information. Do you know what I mean? So my memoir is honestly, I'm so excited about it, you guys. I consider myself much more of a writer than a vlogger. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm really excited. It's exciting to have it on more than one platform. I think there is a space for video storytelling, but I also, as a kid, books are what changed my life. Picking up that book and holding it in my hands and reading it, that's what changed my life. And I'm really excited to be able to create that, to literally give back to my younger self what I wish that I had. The story of a real life trans adult that's still living. That's what I needed back then, and I'm really, really excited to share that with you all. 15. Also, you said that you have an EP coming out. How does it feel that you're releasing 2 different works of art around the same time? Do you feel that writing songs helped you pen the memoir? So, in some ways, they definitely helped each other. I'm exploring a lot of old memories and a lot of old things that happened in my life that have impacted my music and inspired it, but the EP in and of itself is kind of like me in my high school bedroom. Like, when I was first coming out and when I was feeling really raw and vulnerable and exposed, this EP is exactly like that, and I'm writing about those experiences right now, so it's been really exciting. It's a lot of work to have both of these things going on at once. I definitely am a little bit stressed and exhausted by it, but at the same time, when all is said and done, I'm extremely proud of these 2 things that I'm creating simultaneously, and I'm really stoked to get to share them with you all. 16, what can we expect from both the memoir and the EP? Y'all should expect some pretty darn good stories. Alright, now we got the rapid fire questions. Here we go. Sweet or salty? Salty. Favorite social media website? Instagram. Mexican food or Italian food? Mexican. I love burritos. Do you like spicy food? Spices? Yes. Hot spicy? No. I'm a total baby. Favorite song to jam out to? Good as Hell by Lizzo. Oh. Favorite YouTube video that you've ever made? The first video I ever made was supposed to be a soliloquy from Hamlet, you guys. It's on a channel that you guys do not know the name of, that you'll never know the name of, but you might be able to find it. But anyway, it was a hilarious video where I used a fake pretended like aluminum foil piece of paper to like stab my cat at the time to kind of illustrate it. It was pretty hilarious. That's the favorite video I've ever made. Favorite animal? The quokka. Favorite movie? Finding Nemo, Frozen, or The Brave Little Toaster? Favorite fan experiences? One of my fans got my handwritten words tattooed on their arms so that they see it every day, and I don't think they know how much that means to me, and it seriously means so much that my words and my handwriting are on someone that reminds them of this goodness in life every single day, and it makes me feel so amazing, and it's just like, I couldn't believe it, and it's just absolutely incredible. So several people have tattoos of my words too, and it just means the world to me. Like, my tattoos are so important to me. It like blew my mind like overwhelmingly every time that I find out that someone's gotten something of mine tattooed on them. Like, holy cow. And also anytime that a fan gives me like a humongous tight hug, I love that. Final question. At Resolution Interviews, we strive to make the world a more positive place for everyone. What are some words of advice for someone who is struggling with self-esteem, bullying, gender sexual identity, and other negative occurrences that they might be facing? The advice that I would give is to reach out for support and resources. If you're watching this video right now, you are on the internet, and if you're on the internet, I need you to know that the internet and online was my main resource when I was coming out, when I was dealing with dysphoria and depression, when I was dealing with what was going on in my family life, when I was dealing with a partner cheating on me in high school, like all of these things. I went online and I reached out to others, and that's how I found I wasn't alone, and that's how I learned ways that would work for me to overcome that, ways that would work for me to feel good again, ways that would work for me to move past it. And so for you, I totally encourage you to explore the physical resources that you might have in your life, but if not, definitely check out online, because I promise you're not alone. That's the biggest advice I can give. It's only when I've realized that I wasn't the only one that felt this way, or the only one who identified this way, or the only one that wanted to do this, or the only one that felt this way about that I realized that I could do this. I'm not alone, and neither are you. So that's the best advice that I can give. I'm sorry it's not too much, but I just wanted you to know that. So thank you so much, Resolution Interviews, for your awesome questions, and thank you so much for watching this video. Much love and light to you all. Peace, love, and happiness. Take care.